all doing well. I'm so excited for today's video because I'm going to be going over my best and worst reads of 2023. I'm not going to be going through all of the books that I've read this year. I'm pretty much just going to be going through some of the highlights and books that really stood out to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get started. I wanted to firstly begin by talking about books that I've read this year that I kind of forgot to just tell you guys about. So the first one that I read is The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. And to give you guys a quick little synopsis about everything that takes place in this novel. So this story initially begins with Lucy and Gabe. They meet when they're seniors at Columbia University, and from that day forward, their lives just completely change. And then they end up meeting again a year later, and at this time, Gabe is assigned a job to go work in the Middle East as a journalist, and Lucy decides that she's going to stay in New York and pursue her career. And pretty much this storyline takes place over the span of 13 years. So in the 13 years, we're going to see the journey of Lucy and Gabe's dreams, desires, jealousies, betrayals, and ultimately their love play out. And we're also going to see whether it's fate that has brought the two of them together, or whether it's the choices that they've made that have kept them apart. And their journey takes Lucy and Gabe continents apart, but never out of each other's hearts. Firstly, I'm going to begin by talking about the things that I really enjoyed. And I really liked the writing style, and I loved the way that she had set up the book. So the entire story was from Lucy's POV. And the book was set up in a way where each chapter was a journal passage, and it kind of felt like you were inside Lucy's mind and you were reading the things that were taking place as the storyline was going on. And I really enjoyed that. I felt like I was really being brought along the process, and I feel like I was really there with Lucy when she was explaining all the things that happened, and I thought that that was really cool. The chapters are relatively short, which I enjoyed, so it was very fast paced. Now onto the things that I did not really like. And in the beginning, I did like Lucy and Gabe as a couple, but the more and more I started reading the book, the more and more I'm like, Lucy and Gabe are some of the most selfish people that I have ever read about. Like, I feel like the more I kept reading the novel, it got progressively worse. But the interesting thing with this story specifically is I've always said that when I read a book with characters that I find obnoxious, I'm less likely to enjoy the book, and I'm more likely to not finish it. But with this novel, I felt like it was the opposite. I felt like the way that Gabe and Lucy were behaving was extremely inappropriate. It was rude, and they were not taking other people's emotions and feelings into consideration, because there are other characters that do get introduced later on in the storyline. Even though I didn't agree with a lot of the decisions that they were making, I still wanted to continue reading the book because I wanted to see how it was going to play out. But in terms of me saying that like Lucy and Gabe are really selfish, I found that especially for Gabe, even though he was in a relationship with Lucy, there would be so many times where he would make big life-altering decisions and he wouldn't take her into consideration, and he would just expect her to drop everything and to just move across the world with him. And on top of that too, because it says like their love and like their storyline spans over like 13 years, and there's like love, betrayal, jealousy, all of that stuff. So reading that in the synopsis, you can insinuate that there is a point in time when Gabe and Lucy aren't like together in like a committed exclusive relationship. And I found that like there were different points where like Lucy had like moved on and she was in a different relationship, but the rude thing was Gabe kept coming back, and I felt like he was the type of person that would take and take and take so much from Lucy, and he would give such little in return. And I felt like Lucy was the type of character that she wanted to be loved, she wanted to be cared for, but I just felt like she was just so hung up on Gabe, and I felt like she had a hard time letting go of him. And I feel like because of that, it costed her a lot in the other relationships that she entered in later on in the storyline. So it was unfortunate to see that. I wasn't the biggest fan of the ending. I didn't like how the book necessarily ended. I would have preferred if the other characters in the book received a sense of justice, because I feel like the decisions and the choices that Lucy made later towards the end of the novel, in my opinion, just didn't make sense. And I feel like in the situation that she was in, if I was involved in that environment, in that situation with Lucy, I would have left. Because what she was doing was just unnecessary, inappropriate, it was outlandish, it was nonsensical in my opinion. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. But I guess it did portray how like messy relationships definitely can be. I felt like to a certain extent there was some element of realism in the way that Jill described the relationships, in the sense of when you meet somebody, sometimes it can be hard to let go, allow yourself to be loved again, and to truly allow yourself to pursue a healthy relationship. So there's that. But overall, I really did enjoy the novel. Even though I've said a lot of things I didn't enjoy about it and I didn't like, overall it was a really good read. It was very fast paced. I would really enjoy if somebody else had read this novel so I could kind of like sit down and bounce back ideas. But yeah, I feel like this was the year that I really dabbled in murder mystery, and the next novel that I ended up reading is One of Us is Lying by Kenna M. McManister. And oh my goodness, I have nothing but good things to say about this novel. Very few things that I disliked about it. And pretty much in this novel, we follow around our 4 main characters, or 5 characters, I guess you could say. So first we have Bronwyn, she's the brains. We have Addie, she's the picture-perfect homecoming princess. We have Nate, who's a criminal because he is currently on probation for dealing drugs. We have Cooper, who is the athlete. Lastly, we have Simon, who is the outcast, and he is also the creator of the Bayview High notorious gossip app. So pretty much all of these characters are in a classroom because they are in detention, and the only one that does not make it out of that classroom alive is Simon. So before the end of detention, Simon dies, and according to the investigators, his death was not an accident, and on Monday he died, but on Tuesday, which is the thing that makes this all a little suspect, a little suspicious, is he had planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high school profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects for his murder. Or are they the perfect passeries for a killer who is still on the loose? So everyone has secrets, and it's saying here what matters the most is how far are you willing to protect them. And in this novel, first and foremost, what I really enjoyed is the pacing of the novel. I found that it was quick, it was easy to read. I would definitely recommend this novel to somebody that is getting started with reading and doesn't really know what to read. Another thing is I really enjoyed how the novel was structured and set up. I enjoyed how as I said before, a lot of the time in murder mystery, you're given a lot of information, but in the first chapter, the characters were established, we knew what we were getting into, the stakes had already been set, so the ball was already rolling after chapter 1, which was really nice. Another thing is all the characters had secrets, and I felt like all the characters were kind of like onions, I guess you could say, was the best way to like compare them, because they just had so many layers, and I found that they were like relatively dynamic characters. It was really interesting not only reading about the secrets and finding out the secrets of these 4 characters, but also finding out the secrets of the other students, because like this gossip app that Simon has started at Bayview was literally crazy, and it was so interesting to see how this gossip app had ruined so many people's lives and had caused so many people to truly hate Simon and to wish nothing but the worst for him. So when I read that there were other characters that were like, you know, side characters in the storyline and they did not like Simon, and it made sense because like they had a motive and an intention and a reason why they would be upset with Simon. It was just like, I feel like it was like a curveball that was thrown my way, because I'm like, there's so many potential suspects, and it's like I didn't even know who to pick, and I didn't even know who like actually did the crime, and I feel like because of that, it kept me on my toes till the very end. And when I got to the very end, the ending was messed up. It really was messed up, because I sat there and I was like, wait, what? Why would you do this? This makes no sense. This is crazy. And there were characters that were involved in Simon's murder that I was not expecting necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say directly, but more so like indirectly were involved, and they still played a significant role. Not in a sense to say that these characters were just thrown in, because I tend to find sometimes in like murder mystery books, like an author will write such a good plot and then they'll get to the end and then it'll be really mediocre because I don't know what happened. It'll just be really mediocre, but that wasn't the case. I really liked how characters were being introduced from the beginning of the storyline, and you could see how like they weaved their way throughout the entire story and they made it to the end and you're like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. And I feel like that's what I really did experience with this book. It was a roller coaster of emotions. Really enjoyed it. Powered through this novel really quickly. I would definitely recommend. I have not read One of Us Is Next, which is the next one that I want to read in the series because it is a duology. On top of that too, there's also a live action adaptation for this book. I have yet to watch it, but when I do, I will let you guys know. Next novel that I ended up reading is A Love Wager by Lynn Painter. So pretty much we were introduced to Haley and Jack, and they initially meet at this event, and then they end up going their separate ways, and they end up reconnecting again through a dating app, and from there they start talking to each other, and they establish that they don't like each other, they don't have feelings for each other, and they just want to be friends. And then from there, the two of them decide that they are going to strike a wager to see who can fall in love first, not realizing that what they should be betting on is each other. And pretty much that is the premise of this novel. So we're gonna see Jack and Haley go on several dates with different people, but every single time they go on dates with other people, they're like, there's no chemistry, there's no vibe, there's no connection. So because of that, they end up spending more time with each other because they're trying to help each other find like their perfect match, when again, obviously the more and more you begin to realize, you're like, maybe instead of looking in other places, you should just look right in front of you. And to put the icing on top of the cake, Jack and Haley decide that they are going to fake date for a weekend wedding, and at that point they begin to realize that the lines begin to blur, and they're struggling to remember why they even agreed to do this, and they're beginning to realize that, you know what, maybe this actually isn't the best idea. This is pretty much the premise and the synopsis of Love Wager by Lynn Painter. not gonna lie, didn't really enjoy this novel. I think it really had to do with the characters, the storyline, the pacing, their motives and their intentions on why they were doing what they were doing. I wasn't really the biggest fan of it, to be honest. Yeah, the storyline just wasn't really that captivating. It wasn't really interesting in my opinion. I mean, there are definitely moments and times in the novels where I was like, oh, that's cute, or like they're wholesome. Like overall, as a couple, I really enjoyed the two of them together, but like I think for me personally, the storyline and the way that they went about becoming a couple was not really very like appealing to me personally. But yeah. Now, although I did say I did not enjoy The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, a different novel that I read by Lynn Painter this year that truly I enjoyed through and through is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I want this book in paperback so badly, which is definitely something that I'm going to do in 2024. But oh my goodness, so many things I enjoyed about it. It was such a cute, wholesome, puppy love storyline that kept me captivating. It was so cute. I felt myself like kicking my feet every single time I was reading it because Liz and Wes were so adorable. And I just really appreciated the way that Wes cherished his relationship with Liz, which was so sweet and so cute and so wholesome. And he always wanted the best for her. And one thing I really just appreciated is how like whenever he would look out for Liz and he would just take care of Liz and help Liz, it was just so, I don't want to say unintentional, but like he just did it just cuz, you know? And I felt like that was just so wholesome and that was so sweet. Pretty much the synopsis for this novel is, it is a teen rom-com that follows a hopeless romantic teen girl and her cute yet obnoxious neighbor as they scheme to get her noticed by her untouchable crush. So here we are introduced to Liz, and Liz has had the fattest crush on this guy named Michael, and she has liked him for so many years. And this year she's like, you know what? I'm going to get this man to fall in love with me and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And Wes, you are going to help me do that. So pretty much who Wes is he is, as it says here, the annoyingly attractive next door neighbor who seems to be the prime candidate for a romantic fantasy. But Wes has been a pain in Liz's butt for the longest time ever. So pretty much Liz and Wes join forces and decide that they are going to scheme together to help Michael to get Michael to ask Liz to prom, and so Michael can notice Liz as well. But then in the process of doing this, as they are scheming and spending more time together, Liz begins to notice that, you know, Michael's nice. He's a great guy, but she actually enjoys spending more time with Wes, and they continue to grow closer, and she begins to re-examine everything she knows about love and just her relationship with Wes. And from there, we're going to see things play out. Because as it said here, she begins to rethink her own ideas of what a happily ever after should be. And that is pretty much the synopsis of Love Wager, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. And as I said before, another thing that I enjoyed about the novel was the pacing. I will admit the chapters were a little longer in this novel. There was less chapters, but they were longer. But overall, it was a really cute, wholesome read. This is one that I would definitely recommend to someone who is just getting started into reading. I guess the only downside was I feel like Liz at some points didn't really treat Wes the nicest. I feel like she overlooked a lot of the like kind gestures and the things that he did. Not to necessarily get her attention or to get anything out of it, just because he was just being a sweet, wholesome, kind-hearted guy. But overall, it was a really good read. I enjoyed it. I found myself smiling the entire time that I was reading it. And I really liked it. So yeah. The last series that I ended up reading was Demon Slayer. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. This year I ended up finishing the Demon Slayer series. All 23 volumes have been read. I do not have them in paperback copy because I read them online, so the electronic copy. But pretty much for a little bit of context, if you do watch the Demon Slayer anime, pretty much up until volume 15 has been animated, because I'm reading this off of my laptop, and there's 23 volumes within like the manga series, and I read from volume 16 all the way to 23, so 16, 17, 18. I read the last 8 volumes, and oh my goodness, I have nothing but good things to say about the series. When I hear some people don't like Demon Slayer, I'm just so caught off guard because I'm like, oh my goodness, why don't you like this series? Like, maybe you can find some characters irritating, which I can kind of understand where you're coming from. But in terms of the fight scenes, the visual, and like the characters as well too, I truly do enjoy. But pretty much, just like a quick little update, I remember when people were talking about the Entertainment District arc, and they were comparing it to the Swordsmith arc. People were like, oh, the Swordsmith arc was not that good, which I did not agree with. I will admit that the fight scenes in the Entertainment District arc were slightly better than the fight scenes in the Swordsmith arc. Like, I think it just also comes down to the Hashiras and the characters themselves. I found that Uzui has a personality where it's just really bold, it's really out there, he's really extroverted, and I tend to find that he's definitely, and I tend to find that that's going to transition into his fighting style and just like the way that he approaches situations and like the circumstance that he's in. So it definitely makes sense that those fight scenes would be more flashy and they'd be more animated and they'd be like more big, you know what I'm saying? But with the Swordsmith arc, I really did appreciate it. I really liked how we got to see two of the Hashiras and we got to really see like their abilities, and we got to see them have their time to shine, which I really did appreciate. And I still really did enjoy the animation and the fight scenes. Pretty much from volume 16, there's a lot that we get to see play out. And all honesty, if there's one thing that I've learned from a shonen manga or just anime in general, is when they give you two wholesome scenes back to back, it usually means that something sad might take place moving forward. In these next couple of volumes that are going to be animated, it's going to be heartfelt, emotional, exciting, and nothing short but epic. And it's going to be really interesting and exciting to see the different Hashiras in their like element, and it's going to be really interesting to see their personalities through their fighting styles. I'm really excited to see their backstories as well and understand kind of like why they chose to become Hashiras and why they're in this position and why they're just so passionate about what they do. And the ending made sense, and I was happy with the ending for the most part, but there were also some parts of the ending where I was like, oh, that's kind of sad, but it made sense. So there was also that as well. But overall, Demon Slayer was really good. I'm so excited and happy that I finished the series. I'm so excited to see it get animated in the next few years to come. And yeah, okay, so that is it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope you guys have been enjoying some of the other videos that I have been putting out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!